Oh, it's 13 minutes after 8. Top Hollywood director Sidney.
It's been so hot lately, you really wonder how anybody ever got along without the air conditioner. We really do take it for granted. And this summer, it's been so unbearably hot, more and more people are finding the only relief is to just turn it on. The din of air conditioning units is an ever-present sound during the summer. 70% of your power bill goes to the air conditioner, and with one of the hottest Julys on record, get ready for a shock when your end-of-the-month bill arrives.
It's hotter than it was in July of 1982, and certainly as hot as we've maybe experienced before. Our demands for electricity certainly are as high as we've ever experienced before.
It's the air conditioner that's keeping Helen Terrell alive. Following a recent operation, the heat keeps her trapped in the one room that has the air conditioner.
Usually it's comfortable inside this little room with that blanket down. But when I have to go in the kitchen to get a glass of water or something, it's like going in an oven.
Nearly all of her monthly welfare check goes toward keeping cool, and she may not have enough money to pay this month's bill. But for people like Helen who have trouble paying the bill, don't wait to be disconnected. Call your utility company. They have programs to help. And according to the experts, relief from the heat is not in sight.
Climatologically speaking, the month of August, at least the first 3 weeks, is one of the hottest parts of the year. And unless we get some active tropical weather, I see really no relief coming from the heat at least through the month of August into early September.
So New Orleans, bear up, the worst is yet to come. But at least, thankfully, we won't have to be suffering through the kind of record-breaking heat now plaguing the Midwest. Bill Moller, NEWSCENE 8.
The off-duty officer lived in the 3500 block of Bienville. Police first showed up there, but they took off almost as soon as they arrived. The suspect had been spotted on foot just a few blocks away. Ben Caddo and his brother had just come out of a building on North Clark.
As we left the building, I saw a black male running down the street with a bag under his arm, and at that point, I knew the guy had done something wrong because he looked scared when I saw him.
The two brothers just happened to be carrying a camera. They took a picture of the suspect, and the film has been turned over to police. The suspect then took off again, but police were closing in. This entire block was then sealed off. Police knew the suspect was somewhere inside this area, but they didn't know exactly where. They also knew that he had stolen 3 powerful guns and had lots of ammunition. Then came word over the radio the suspect had been caught.
We did draw service revolvers, halfway expecting him to be armed. However, he wasn't armed. He had ditched the weapons that he stole under a house. And then apparently after feeling that he could get away, he came from under the house and tried to make his getaway over the fence. We just happened to be sitting there waiting.
The bag of stolen property was found thrown under a house just 1 block away. The suspect was identified as 27-year-old Earl Payton, and late this afternoon he was booked with burglary. After the first call, it took police only 20 minutes to make the arrest. Bill Moller, NEWSCENE 8.
The World's Fair has been given a new lease on life by the City Council. The Council has passed a resolution allowing the fair to defer payment on some $3.8 million in back taxes. Bill Moller is standing by live at the City Council. Bill, what can you tell us?
Well, right now, Margaret, as you can see, the council is pretty quiet. The members voted about an hour ago. They voted unanimously for this resolution. In a nutshell, here is the issue. The fair owes the city some $3.8 million in sales taxes collected for the month of August, and the city in turn owes the state some $15 million in a loan to repair streets. The agreement reached today takes the city and the fair pretty much off the hook, but it leaves the state, and therefore the taxpayers, holding the bag. The resolution was approved unanimously, and it says pretty much that the fair can keep the $3.8 million originally owed the city, use that for operating expenses, and the city can subtract $3.8 million in what it originally owed the state. The mayor and the governor were the two people probably most instrumental in this vote today. The mayor met with the council in executive session. The governor was there via telephone, and they bore home the importance of this vote. Many council members were sure of it, too. They told me in the last few minutes that they realized that a no vote very likely could mean that the fair would have to shut down. The resolution, by the way, also states that the city is also prepared to defer future sales tax collections if the fair remains in its financial tailspin. We asked the mayor if that might be necessary.
Well, we hope that the attendance will jump exceedingly, so that everything will indicate that monies will be forthcoming and the fair can meet all of its obligations. That's what we would hope, that it turns into a very successful endeavor over the next 2 months.
Tomorrow morning, the governor will be here to explain to the council and anybody else who's interested the exact details of this very important agreement reached between the state, the city, and the World's Fair. Margaret?
Okay, Bill, well, thanks a lot.
Well, the City Council has acted now on the back taxes due the City of New Orleans. That's taxes the fair has already picked up. They'd like to use the taxes for operating expenses. The City of New Orleans would like to have the taxes due them. Once again, let's go back live at 5 to Bill Moller at City Council. Bill?
Hi, Ron. It was about 10 minutes ago when the council finally did vote, and it was, as we expected, a unanimous vote to allow the fair to keep the $3.8 million in collected sales taxes. Now, I talked to Bob DeHemicourt with the Fair's Finance Committee, the governor's representative there, just after the vote, and he said that he fully expects that this should be the last time that the fair will have to ask for such a deferral in its tax plan. However, the council, in its vote, left the option there that for the months of September, this month, October, and the 11 days of October and November until the fair closes, that the option will be there that the city can go through this same rigmarole again and allow the fair to defer on its taxes. What that would mean, though, is that that money probably will be out of the window, because the language in the resolution was that the fair would pay the tax money back when it was able to. And that's so vague that council members, in fact, told me that they fully expect that this is money that they're never going to be able to collect. But fortunately, the state gave it a break, a dollar-for-dollar break in the loan money that the city owed the state, so that the city is not really caught in that much of a bind right now.
Kind of a trade-off, huh, Bill?
Yeah, it is an exact trade-off. The state gave the break to the city gave the break to the fair. Unfortunately, it's the state that's going to come up on the losing end.
State taxpayers, et cetera, et cetera. How close was the vote?
Well, it was unanimous. We expected that to be the case all along. I talked with a number of council members during the day. This resolution was drafted late this morning, but it didn't come up to a vote till about 10 minutes ago, and everybody I talked to said it was definitely going to pass.
All right, Bill, thank you very much. That's Bill Moller reporting live at 5 from City Council chambers. Again, the New Orleans City Council at this hour is discussing the future of the World's Fair, specifically whether the city will demand that the fair pay back nearly $4 million in taxes due today. Bill Moller is at City Council. Bill?
The council is still talking about the resolution right now. They have not yet voted. They are expected to vote in the next 5 to 10 minutes about this resolution. Here's the issue in a nutshell. The fair owes the city about $3.8 million, and the city, in turn, owes the state $15 million on a loan. What the resolution states is that the city of New Orleans is going to allow the fair to keep its $3.8 million in sales tax due the city, to defer that payment on the sales tax until the fair is able to pay. The council has been discussing the resolution for most of the day, still no vote on it. The councilmen are pretty sure they know how serious their vote is. Councilman Early told me a few minutes ago that by pushing the green button, the go button, the vote for this resolution, he is pushing for the future of the fair. They feel that by voting no on this resolution to allow the fair to defer its taxes would mean that the fair very likely could close down very soon. Yesterday, the governor was making the issue very clear. He said that we are now at the crossroads, that if the city council continues to demand that tax money be paid, it is very likely that the fair could close down, in his words, almost immediately. The resolution also says that the state must allow the city to get off the hook as well. The city, as I said, owes the state $15 million. So there is a dollar-for-dollar agreement that the state will not demand that money from the city, which in turn has allowed the fair to get off the hook as well. The resolution has not yet come up for a vote. They are still discussing it. We'll have the details hopefully by our 6 o'clock news. Back to you, Ron.
Bill, can you hear me?
Very quiet. I can barely hear you. There's a lot of distortion on this. Try to give me a question. I'll see if I can hear you.
All right. Basically, the question I wanted to ask you is moot at this point because the back taxes were due legally at 5 o'clock today, but they're still discussing it, correct?
Yeah, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that the council will vote to defer. The resolution was drafted by council members earlier this morning. The governor was speaking to them by telephone. This was an executive session meeting, and I've talked to most of them, and they feel that they are going to vote unanimously for this resolution to allow the taxes to be deferred, which probably will mean that the city will not ever get its money from the fair as far as sales taxes go for at least the month of August.
All right, Bill, thank you very much. Bill Moller reporting from City Council.
Fact of the matter is the Disney Corporation put Orlando on the map. Walt Disney World is now the #1 tourist destination on this earth. Now, what the theme park is only part of the Disney entertainment empire. Tonight we begin a series of reports on Disney Incorporated. NewsCenter 2's Bill Moller is here with the first of a week-long series of reports to tell us what surprises Mickey Mouse has in store for us. Bill?
Bruce, we're going to see this week that the mouse has been very active. Tonight we've prepared for you an overview. On July 17th, Disneyland in California is going to celebrate its 30th anniversary. This comes at a turning point in the Disney story, a story that began more than 60 years ago at a tiny studio in Southern California. Southern California, a land of beauty, a land of dreams, a land of fantasy. And for Walt Disney, this was a land of opportunity. He came to California in 1923. He had $40 in his pocket and a few drawing materials. But with a fertile imagination and his skill at drawing, he became known for his quality, innovative work in the new field of animation. Many who shared his ideas joined his growing studio. His pioneering films, made to his exacting standards, were quickly becoming a part of Americana.
What they can't do these days. It was a great creative experience because you're working with a man who had a sixth sense on what played good, what was funny, what was entertainment.
Mickey and I started out the first time many years ago. We've had a lot of our dreams come true. Now we want you to share with us our latest and greatest dream.
But would it work? An entire park, a stage where his movie characters could come to life. It was to be designed and built by movie artists and craftsmen from his own studio. Using earth movers like a painter uses a brush, the flat land was sculpted to conform to Walt's vision. He risked nearly everything he had. Many thought he'd fail. At one point, construction was falling behind. Everything was speeded up to meet schedules, but just short of a year after groundbreaking and almost 20 years after the idea first popped into Walt Disney's head, Disneyland opened its gates to a waiting world.
And Ron, your first job is down here in the town square.
Right out here in front of the depot, yes, for the main street and the parade and so forth.
We have lots to do. Get busy.
Okay.
28,000 guests and a national television audience of 90 million witnessed that opening day. Was he right? Nearly 30 years and 250 million visitors later, it's clear he was. But the ideas continued to flow. There would be new theme parks in Florida and Japan. The company diversified and expanded. Today, children round the world play with Disney toys and games. There's now a Disney fashion line. The popular Disney Channel on cable TV is only 2 years old. The company's home video market is growing. With last June's acquisition of the Arvida Corporation, Disney has now expanded into real estate. And to keep this entertainment factory moving forward, each division has its own research and planning department. But the story has not been all happy dreams coming true. 1984, it was a year of turmoil. Attendance dropped at both theme parks. There was a strike at Disneyland. Movie production was far behind most other Hollywood studios. The company was the target of an unfriendly takeover attempt. The future was unclear as the company seemed to be drifting from the course set by Walt Disney. But like Donald Duck, who can take a beating and always come up smiling, Disney is now, just a few months later, getting back on its feet. You can feel a new spirit flowing through the company. Most will tell you it's the result of the two new rulers of the Disney Kingdom, Frank Wells and Michael Eisner. They joined the company last fall with the mission to re-establish the Disney name in the forefront of innovative family entertainment. It is the Disney dream reborn. We'll take a look at how that's being accomplished in reports over the next 4 days. And we have a very interesting segment tomorrow. It's on the theme parks, and we'll attempt to answer that burning question, which is more fun, Disneyland or Walt Disney World? And Bruce, you'll find there's